How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to another FPL video. The international break is finally done and we can get back to what we love best, the Premier League and in particular FPL. I posted one video about a week ago for those of you on a wildcard. If you haven't checked that out yet, go ahead and give it a watch. I'll attach a link on the end screen / outro of this video and in the description below as well. I will be posting an updated wildcard video tomorrow, which is Friday the 19th, so do look out for that. And as always, if you're enjoying the content, consider subscribing to the channel, interact by commenting, and give the video a like. Today, we'll be looking at my team selection for Gameweek 12, 5 transfer targets, my thoughts going into the game week, Kane versus Son, who to start between Foster and Ramsdale, and captaincy. But before we jump straight in, let's have a quick recap of how the team performed in Gameweek 11. In goal, Ramsdale finished with a clean sheet and 1 bonus point. Arsenal are quite the informed team at the moment. In defense, both Cancelo and Trent continued with their Champions League form. Cancelo with 2 assists, a clean sheet and 3 bonus points against Man United, and Trent finished with a goal, assist and 3 bonus points as well in a 3-2 loss against West Ham. Now, a few of you bench Cancelo. I don't know why, mate. He's a premium for a reason. And to round up my defense, Ben Chilwell finished with a blank. In midfield, I started Smith Rowe for the first time after getting his points off my bench for the previous 2 game weeks, and he delivered with a goal for me. The King Mo Salah continues his brilliant form by not blanking, and Havertz finally scored a goal for me. Jota was my transfer in after it was confirmed that Firmino would be out for a while, and he blanked, which wasn't ideal. Up top, both Antonio and Vardy disappointed, but Adam Armstrong scored a rocket, and my gut feeling decision to start him ahead of Christensen was the right call. I had a feeling he'd start and score, and had a feeling Chelsea would concede, so I'm quite happy with that. On the bench, Ben Foster saved a penalty and had a monster 11-point haul despite not keeping a clean sheet. Christensen finished on 2, and Valentino Livramento has been my second sub for 6 game weeks in a row, and he smashed it again. Just don't know when I'm going to start the lad. And to finish off, Douglas Luiz finished on 0 points as my bench fodder. I started the game week at 16k and finished with 76 points, taking me up to around the 6.5k mark, which is a huge green arrow. I'm slowly making my way back up again after not captaining Salah when he went ballistic against Man United. So I'm quite happy with that, and the goal to finish in the top 1k and possibly win it all is still on the cards. With that in mind, let's have a look at my transfer targets, Son versus Kane, and thoughts going into Gameweek 12. So I go into Gameweek 12 with 2 free transfers available and 5 transfer targets in mind. Kicking us off is Harry Kane. He's fresh off 7 goals for England in the space of 3 days and 2 games. Kane, Son and all the Spurs boys have an amazing run of fixtures starting right now, and with Conte as their new manager, I expect things to turn around, especially over such a great run of games coming up. Next up is Son. Son could play alongside Kane, slightly behind or slightly ahead, making him a midfielder in FPL that is playing out of position as a striker. Despite Tottenham's poor form, Son has seemingly been the only player in that team, FPL-wise, that has a bit of form, and just like Kane, the fixture run is difficult to ignore. If Kane bangs, so does Son, and one can even consider a double up if you have the money, but we'll come back to that in a second. The next target is Callum Wilson. With 3 brilliant home games in the next 4 games, as well as his old manager Eddie Howe now joining Newcastle, I'm extremely tempted to sell Antonio for him. We know that Antonio plays for the better team and the more attacking team as well, but he has been underperforming FPL-wise with no returns in quite a while. The silver lining is that he has Wolves next, and his underlying stats are brilliant. He's often the assist before the assist, but I do think that he will come good over this run. After Wolves, he faces Man City and Chelsea in his next 3 before a great run from Gameweek 16, and I have a lot of value tied up in him. So if I do sell him now for Wilson, it will be harder to get him back from Gameweek 16. I think I'm going to use Gameweek 12 as a trial run. Let's see how Antonio does and how Eddie Howe has Newcastle playing and how good Callum Wilson looks. The next transfer target is Reguilon. If you can't go for Son and Kane as a double up, getting Reguilon is definitely an option. In Conte's first game as manager, the fullbacks look to be playing quite high up the pitch, and I expect both Reguilon and Emerson Royal to be involved in a few goals. At 5 million, Reguilon offers great value. My only doubt is that Højbjerg and Romero are likely going to be missing from the Spurs starting 11 this weekend after picking up injuries in the international break. So maybe holding off a Spurs defender for this one game week may be okay. And finally, Phil Foden. Man City and Liverpool are the best attacks in the league. Foden though is often playing out of position in the Man City attack, and weirdly this season, Pep isn't blindly rotating his players for no reason at all. He's one I'm looking to target for the Christmas period as my Havertz replacement, but with Lukaku still training alone, Havertz will be in my starting 11. I'm trying to squeeze as many points as I can from him after costing me 21 points in Game Week 9. The issue a few of you are facing is whether to go for Son or Kane in Game Week 12. I was dead set on getting Son in with my 2 free transfers available when the international break began, but in doing so, that would mean downgrading Adam Armstrong to Broja. And with Adam Armstrong scoring a rocket as well as Broja picking up a minor injury, I ideally want Armstrong this game week against Norwich. So to get Son in, I'd have to downgrade Christensen to possibly a £4.2 million defender. Not so many great options since I have Livramento in already, and now with Robertson injured, Tsimikas is available at 3.9 million, but I already have a Liverpool triple up with Trent, Salah and Jota. The easier move for me is to get Kane in with 1 free transfer, and that's exactly what I did. I know Son is cheaper and he gets an additional point for a goal and a clean sheet compared to Kane, but there is no one correct answer in my opinion. Kane has the form from England. Get either of them in based on how your team is structured. And as you can see here from the tweet from Abdul, Kane is ranked first in terms of his chances of returning this game week from any player in the game, making him a definite captaincy option. So with Kane coming in, the player that has to leave my squad is Jamie Vardy. Vardy has a great run after Chelsea, but he's been in such poor form of late. Courtesy of my mate Ross and Fantasy Football Fix, we can see that Vardy has the lowest touches per 90 out of every single midfielder and forward in the league this season. He's been taking more kickoffs than anything else, but in typical Vardy style, he'll just show up and bag a brace, and I won't be surprised if he does well against Chelsea and for his good run after that game as well. I now still have a 1 free transfer available, and with so many amazing transfer targets, I should surely bring one of them in, right? Well, in my opinion, I think it's worth holding on to that additional transfer and having 2 transfers available next game week. The reason I say this is because we have 10 game weeks coming up in the next 40 days, and if you have a look at FPL Corp's tweet here, all I can say is to expect rotation and injury over this period. Looking carefully, I'd want 2 free transfers available for Game Week 14 in the short term, which is just 3 days after the previous deadline. Holding on to free transfers when you can is definitely a wise move. And what's so crazy is that although I've been really consistent in FPL over the past 5 seasons, this season I've been more flexible than before and changed my style of play a little, which is quite interesting. I've been more patient and a little less aggressive than in previous years. If I ever get to do a live stream, that'll be quite a nice topic for us to speak about. Anyway, back onto the crazy festive period for FPL. It can also be seen that quite a few teams will still be involved in the League Cup as well during December, which means an extra game for these teams. Arsenal, Brentford, Chelsea, Liverpool, Leicester, Tottenham and West Ham will all have an extra game and likely more rotation. Like I said, save a transfer whenever you can. Now, I could still change my mind and the inner Maverick may come out and I bring one of these transfer targets in, but it's very unlikely. Remember that my final team will be posted on YouTube in the communities tab and on my social media platforms on Twitter and Instagram at FPLIJ. With everything in mind and my thoughts for the game week, let's see how the team will line up in Gameweek 12. In goal, I've decided to go with Ben Foster over Ramsdale. Fresh off an 11-point haul, Watford isn't as bad as they look, conceding just 2 goals in their last 2 games against Southampton and Arsenal. The reason I've gone for Foster is that I have no Man United players in my squad and I have triple Liverpool against Arsenal. If I want to go for the optimum team that could likely get me the most points, benching Ramsdale against my triple Liverpool and starting Foster against my no Man United assets team is the correct one in my opinion. In defense, Cancelo, Trent and Chilwell pick themselves really. All so attacking, and if you have any of these fullbacks as well as James, you just have to play them regardless of who they're up against, even if they're playing each other. Their attacking threat is far too high to bench, as well as their great form currently. And my boy Livramento finally starts a game for me against Norwich. The fixture is too difficult to ignore. The only slight issue is that Livramento had a minor injury, but I did read that he's back in training, so he will hopefully start for Southampton. In midfield, we've got the king, Mo Salah and Jota, playing out of position against Arsenal, and with Firmino ruled out until mid-December at the earliest, Jota for me is the way better pick than Tsimikas is. I know a few of you are tempted, but I doubt Robertson is out long term. We'll wait for what Klopp says, but if Robbo is back in 2 to 3 game weeks, you surely have to try and find a way to get Jota in instead. And to round off the midfield, I've decided to keep Havertz with Lukaku still a doubt for Chelsea. I hope he smashes it this game week with so many selling him for Son and Jota. Punish those sellers, Kai, please! Up top, I'm expecting a lot of goals. Antonio just scored his first goal from out of the box in 7 years for his national team Jamaica, so coming in happy and fresh on form. Adam Armstrong against Norwich, and hopefully it's time for a brace from him. And then it's Hurricane time. This game will be a nice test to see how Spurs and Kane look before deciding to jump in on Reguilon in the gamings to come. On the bench, we've got Ramsdale as mentioned previously, as well as Smith Rowe, which could be a mistake. Liverpool haven't looked the best defensively, and Smith Rowe is in such great form, scoring in the league and for England, but I just don't know who he'd come in for, to be honest. Christensen and Luiz joins him on the bench. Now, the last thing we need to speak about is captaincy. If you have Ronaldo and want to go differential, that's definitely an option. If you've brought in Kane or Son, I can surely see the huge appeal there, especially from Kane, who leads the most likely to return this game week, as well as being fresh off 7 goals in 2 games, and he faces Leeds. When deciding, I just want to show you a tweet from FPL GOAT. The last 5 times Arsenal visited Liverpool, Liverpool has scored 18 goals. That's on average 3.6 goals a game. With the form that Salah is in, as well as his effective ownership, I don't see a better captaincy option for me personally than the king himself. If you're playing catch up in terms of rank or positions in your mini league, going with the likes of Kane or Son is definitely a brilliant option. If you have any questions regarding your team for Gameweek 12, comment below and I will answer absolutely every single one of them. That's it for the video. I will be uploading an updated Wildcard team video tomorrow for those of you interested. Good luck everyone, subscribe if you haven't yet, and remember to FPL responsibly.